on a night meant for warmth, gratitude, and the comfort of familiar faces. There is a darker truth most people never speak about. A truth it slips quietly between the cracks of tradition, hiding in the shadows of crowded dining rooms, long highway drives, and the cold corners of places meant to help others. Thanksgiving is supposed to feel safe. It's the one evening where people come together, lower their guard, and let routine take over. But what if that very comfort is the perfect camouflage for something watching, something waiting? Imagine you're sitting at the table, the smell of food filling the house, laughter echoing through the rooms, when suddenly you realize something outside is listening to every sound you make. Or picture yourself on a dark back road, trying to reach family before dinner, only to discover you're not as alone as you thought. Or think about volunteering at a warm, friendly Thanksgiving event, believing you're helping people, until you walk into a part of the building no one told you about. These aren't exaggerated campfire tales or urban legends twisted by time. These are true account stories from people who lived through Thanksgiving nights they will never forget. Nights that turned tradition into terror so intense it still haunts them today. And tonight, I'm going to take you inside those moments, inside the fear they felt, inside the split-second decisions that meant the difference between surviving or becoming part of another story whispered in fear. So before we begin, take one last look around your space, your room, your windows, your hallway. Make sure you're alone, because the three stories you're about to hear may change the way you feel about Thanksgiving forever. The drive up to our family's mountain cabin had always been one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving. The winding road, the nearly black treetops scraping the sky, the way the cold air thickened as you climbed higher. There was something strangely calming about it. My parents bought that place long before I was born, so for me, Thanksgiving didn't feel like Thanksgiving unless we were up there. The cabin had always been a place of warmth, of noisy dinners, of card games, and the same old stories told 100 times. But the year I turned 21 was the year I learned that some places feel safe only because you haven. T met the things that live just outside this circle of light. It was the first year my older brother Michael wasn't. T joining us, he was stationed overseas, so the usual energy was missing. It was only me, my parents, and my Aunt Carol. We arrived on Thanksgiving morning, unpacked, started cooking, and spent most of the afternoon in that holiday comfort haze. Nothing unusual, nothing strange. Not until the sun slipped behind the ridge. That's when things started to change. The first thing we noticed was the silence. The forest around the cabin was usually alive with noise rustling branches, wind sliding through the trees, the occasional crackle of something moving in the underbrush. But shortly after dusk, everything went still. Completely still. Even my dad commented on it. "Feels like the mountain's holding its breath," he joked, but none of us laughed. Around 8 p.m., after dinner, my mom told me to take the trash outside to the large metal bin by the shed. I stepped out into the cold and immediately felt something was wrong. The darkness around the cabin felt heavy, like it was pressing inward. My breath fogged in the air, and I kept hearing faint, rhythmic crunches in the snow, slow, deliberate, not my own. I froze listening, but they stopped the second I did. I hurried to the bin, lifted the lid, tossed the trash inside, and when I turned back toward the cabin, I saw it. A tall, pale shape standing between the trees. I couldn't see its face or its details, just its height, impossibly tall, its outline wrong somehow, like it wasn't shaped the way a person should be. At first, I thought it might be a trick of the shadows, or maybe a person in a heavy winter coat. But then it leaned, not stepped lean. Its entire upper body bent sideways, like its spine was made of rubber. My instincts screamed. I rushed inside, slammed the door, and told my dad what I saw. He didn't believe the leaning part, but he grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside to check. I watched through the window as he scanned the trees. The light cut across trunks and branches, but nothing was there. Everything looked normal. He came inside, shaking his head. "Probably just a deer or your imagination," he said. But I knew what I saw, and whatever it was, wasn't a deer. Later that night, around 11, we sat in the living room playing cards. The heater hummed, the fire crackled, and for a moment, I convinced myself I'd overreacted. But then something hit the side of the cabin. A heavy thump, like someone slammed their fist against the wall. We all jumped. My dad muted the TV. "Probably a branch," he said. But then it hit again, and again, walking around the cabin. Thump, 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 slow, deliberate impacts. Aunt Carol whispered, "Something is circling us." My dad grabbed his coat and flashlight, but my mom stopped him. "Don't go out there," she insisted. And for the first time in my life, I saw fear in her eyes. We turned off all the lights, sat completely still, listening. The thumping stopped, which somehow was worse. About 10 minutes later, we heard scratching. Soft, slow-dragging scratches along the wooden wall behind the kitchen. Long, slow strokes, like fingernails. My heart hammered in my chest. I wanted to run, to scream, to do anything but sit there in the dark. But something deep inside me knew that making noise would be a mistake. Then came the whispering. At first, it sounded like whine, thin, breathy. But then it grew clearer. A voice, low, raw, like someone trying to imitate human speech, but not fully understanding how. Pepe. My mom covered her mouth. My dad tightened his grip on the flashlight, his knuckles white. The voice dragged across the wall, moving toward the front door. "Let me... My aunt started crying silently. My dad whispered, "Everyone stay quiet." He said it, but his voice trembled. The voice stopped right outside the front door. Then something pressed against it. The wood bent inward slightly, like something large was leaning its full weight into it. The doorknob twitched. Once, twice, slowly turning, like someone testing it. We all stared at it, frozen. And then, 3 deliberate knocks. Not loud, soft, almost polite. My dad mouthed, "Do not move." But the thing outside already knew we were in there. The knock wasn't asking, it was mocking. Testing. After a moment, the handle stopped moving. The pressure against the door eased, and everything went quiet again. The silence stretched on. Finally, after what felt like an hour, but was probably only 10 minutes, my dad whispered that he was going to check through the peephole. He slowly crept up, leaned in, and immediately jerked back, stumbling so hard he fell onto the floor. My mom rushed to him. "What? What did you see?" Dad couldn't speak for a moment. He swallowed hard, then whispered. It was staring right into the peephole. Its eye. God, its eye was sideways. We didn't sleep that night. We sat together in the living room, waiting for morning. The creature circled the cabin 3 more times before dawn. We heard its steps heavy, uneven, scraping the snow. But with the first hint of sunlight, everything stopped. When my dad finally stepped outside, there were tracks in the snow. Huge tracks, not human, not animal. Long, narrow impressions with drag marks between them, like something tall had to pull its limbs through the snow. We packed and left that morning, hours earlier than planned. We never spent Thanksgiving at that cabin again. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, I remember that voice, that whisper. "Let me." And I know, without question, it wasn't the mountain holding its breath that night. It was something else. Something watching. Something waiting. And I still wonder what would have happened if we had opened the door. Welcome to Apex Stories Hub. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. tap the like button, press the bell icon to never miss an update, and leave a comment to tell us what you think. Your support motivates us to bring you even more interesting and exciting stories. Subscribe now and stay connected with Apex Stories Hub for daily amazing content. My cousin Lena always said her old farmhouse had a personality. Not the cute, quirky kind more like the silent, watching kind. She'd inherited the place from our great-grandparents. And even though it was charming in a rustic, middle-of-nowhere kind of way, no one in the family actually liked spending time there. Except Lena. She loved it. Or maybe it loved her. I'm still not sure. That Thanksgiving, she begged us to come over. Just this once, she said. I promise it'll be fun. I decorated. I bought everything. I'll cook just come. My family had never celebrated Thanksgiving anywhere but our own home, but she insisted. And because her parents had passed away years ago, and she didn't have siblings, we agreed. We didn't want her spending the holiday alone. I didn't know that by going there, we would become trapped inside something that felt alive. We arrived in the late afternoon. The sun was low, the sky turning a pale winter gold. The house sat behind a line of dead trees, tall and stiff, like a row of gravestones. The place looked older than I remembered, leaning slightly, its paint peeling in long strips, windows fogged over like blind eyes. But Lena ran out to greet us with her usual bright smile, waving as if she didn't notice how unsettling the place looked. Inside, though, everything was warm. The fireplace was roaring, candles flickered on the mantel. The whole house smelled like roasted turkey and cinnamon. It felt too warm, like summer. I even took off my sweater because it was unbearably hot. Lena laughed and said, "Yeah, the furnace gets a little overexcited, but something about that heat bothered me. Old houses don't usually get hot, especially not in late November." Dinner was set for 6 p.m. We sat at the long dining table, me, my parents, my little brother, and Lena at the head. She'd prepared everything: turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, pie, casseroles. So much food it barely fit on the table. But the moment we picked up our forks, the house seemed to shift, like it settled around us. We heard a soft creak, then another, then another. My dad looked around, frowning. "House is settling," he said. But the pacing sound, because that's exactly what it was, continued overhead. Slow, heavy steps. Someone walking back and forth upstairs. My mom leaned closer to my dad and whispered, "I thought you said no one else lived here." "They don't," Lena said, smiling too widely. "Old houses just talk." But her hand trembled slightly when she reached for the gravy boat. We ate in silence after that, listening to footsteps pacing directly above us. Every now and then, they paused, right over our heads, like whoever or whatever was upstairs was listening to us the same way we were listening to it. At one point, my brother whispered, "Are you sure no one's up there?" And Lena didn't answer immediately. She just stared down at her plate. Her voice was soft when she finally said, "There's no one who should be up there." Everyone exchanged looks. But before anyone could question her, something else happened. The lights flickered, just once at first, then again, harder. The chandelier above the table swayed gently, even though there was no draft. Lena stood up quickly. "I'll check the fuse box." But before she could finish, we heard a loud, dragging sound upstairs. Something heavy being pulled across the floorboards. Slow, grinding, then footsteps, multiple footsteps moving quickly. My mom whispered, "No, no, no, no. This isn't normal." Lena tried to smile again, but it looked forced. "Old houses," she muttered, but she sounded like she was trying to convince herself. Then everything went still again. We sat back down, trying to continue the meal. But the air felt different, thicker, heavier, almost suffocating. I kept glancing at the doorway that led to the dark hallway, half expecting someone to walk out. Halfway through dinner, my brother elbowed me and pointed at the living room archway. I turned to look, and that's when I saw it. A tall shadow, too tall to be a person, standing just past the edge of the fireplace light. It didn't move, but it was there solid, blocking part of the hallway behind it. I blinked, and it slid back. Not walked, slid, like someone dragging a cardboard cutout. My breath caught in my throat. "Did you see that?" my brother whispered. I nodded slowly. Yes. Before anyone else could react, the fire in the fireplace went out, instantly, like someone had sucked the flame away. The room dropped into cold darkness. My mom gasped. My dad stood up, knocking his chair over. Lena whispered, "Not tonight. Please, not tonight." And then the house sighed. That's the only way I can describe it. A long, low exhale from the walls, from the floorboards, from the air itself. Like the house was breathing, like it was alive and hungry. Suddenly, every door in the hallway slammed shut one by one. Bang, 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 bang. My dad grabbed my brother and yelled at everyone to get up. But the second we stood, the dining room door slammed shut behind us, hard enough to rattle the windows. We were trapped. My mom screamed and grabbed the doorknob, but when she tried turning it, her hand recoiled like she'd been burned. She held up her palm-deep, blistering red welts, like the metal had been hot enough to sear flesh. The house wasn't just keeping us inside. It was warning us not to try leaving again. Lena began to cry. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have warned you." My dad stepped toward her. "Warn us about WHE?" She backed away, shaking. "Ever since I moved here, the house hasn't wanted me to leave. The more time I spend inside, the harder it becomes to step out the door. You don't understand. This house doesn't let people go. It keeps them." My mom grabbed her. "Lena, what are you talking about?" "I invited you," she sobbed, "because I thought maybe with more people, it wouldn't focus on me. Maybe it would let me go." Then her eyes widened in terror, because footsteps started descending the staircase. But not normal footsteps. Slow, heavy. The floor groaned with each one. Something large was coming down the stairs. We all turned toward the dark hallway, staring at the pitch-black stairwell. The air grew thick and freezing, and the final few steps were loud enough to vibrate the table. Dad whispered, hid behind me. A figure appeared at the bottom of the staircase, but not clearly just a shape larger than any human. Tall, deformed, its limbs too long, its torso too wide, its head brushing the ceiling. It wasn't a person. It wasn't anything close. The house lights flickered again, illuminating only flashes of its outline. A sharp elbow, a warped silhouette, a distorted head with no neck. Then darkness returned. Lena screamed and bolted toward the kitchen. My dad pulled us after her. The kitchen door burst open as we ran through it, but the back exit slammed shut before we could reach it. The house was breathing again, loud, desperate, like it was excited. My dad grabbed a cast iron pan from the stove and smashed the window above the sink. The glass shattered outward. Cold air rushed in. He started lifting my brother through the window when something huge slammed into the other side of the kitchen wall. The plaster cracked. Dust rained down. The house roared yes, roared like a living creature denied its prize. Dad yelled, "Go, go now!" He forced my brother through the window, then me, then my mom. Lena stayed frozen, paralyzed. My dad reached back inside to pull her toward the opening, but something grabbed her. We couldn't see what it was, just that the darkness behind her bent inward, like a mouth forming. The shadows lengthened into limbs that wrapped around her waist and yanked. She screamed once, a single, sharp, terrified cry. Then she was gone, pulled into the hallway, swallowed by the dark. My dad scrambled out the window as the house shook violently like it was furious we had escaped. We ran barefoot through the frost toward the car, my mom sobbing, my brother screaming, my dad dragging us forward. When he looked back, the house looked like it was leaning toward us, its windows glowing like eyes. But it did not let Lena go. We never saw her again. When the police went back the next day, the house was silent, empty, but her suitcase was still by the door, her shoes still on the rug, her Thanksgiving dishes still on the table, and in the dust on the staircase were drag marks leading up, and one set coming down that did not belong to any human being. We never went back, and sometimes when I dream, I still hear the house breathing. Long, slow, hungry breaths, like it's still waiting for us. I volunteered at community shelters since I was 15, mostly because my mom believed helping others was the best way to stay grounded. By the time I turned 22, I'd seen everything people at their lowest, people fighting to recover, people terrified of their own memories. But nothing, not one experience, prepared me for what happened the night I worked the Thanksgiving shift at the old Sycamore House shelter. The building had been around for over a century. It used to be an orphanage, then a boarding house, then finally a community shelter. People said the place had history, but the kind of history nobody liked to explain. Every volunteer talked about the same thing. Don't go into the basement, ever. They said it casually, as if it were just another rule like washing dishes or checking IDs. But their eyes never looked casual when they said it. The first time I heard the warning, I laughed. "Come on," I told the older volunteer, Miss Harper. "What's the big deal?" "It's just a basement." Her expression didn't change. "No," she whispered. "It's not just a basement." Not anymore. I thought she was just being dramatic. I should have listened. Thanksgiving evening was always the shelter's busiest night. Families with nowhere to go, older folks who didn't want to be alone, drifters looking for a warm meal. Everyone came on Thanksgiving. It was the one night people weren't judged for needing comfort. The shelter felt unusually heavy that night. The halls were dimmer, the rooms colder. I noticed the other volunteers were moving faster than usual, as if trying to finish early. But I insisted on staying longer, because we had dozens of people in line and half the volunteers had already gone home. Around 9 p.m., the crowd thinned out. I was washing the big serving pots in the kitchen sink when Miss Harper came over, bundled in her coat and holding her keys. "Come on, honey," she said softly. "It's been a long day. Let's lock up." "I just need to put away the extra canned goods," I said. "Give me 5 minutes." Her face drained of color. "Where are you putting them?" "In the storage room," I replied. "You know, the one next to the basement door." She grabbed my wrist hard. "No, don't go back there. Not after dark." I almost laughed again, but something in her voice froze me. She left, but not without saying, "If you hear anything, you leave. You don't investigate. You leave." I nodded, pretending to take her seriously. I didn't. The shelter grew quiet, too quiet. The wind scratched against the windows, and the old pipes moaned through the walls. I took the box of canned goods and headed toward the back hallway. The overhead light flickered, so I used my phone as a flashlight. As I passed the basement door, I heard something, a thump, soft but deliberate. I froze. The basement was supposed to be locked. It always was. I leaned closer and listened. Nothing. The silence stretched until my own heartbeat sounded like footsteps. "Probably the boiler," I muttered. But then I heard it again. Thump. Then a slow drag across the floor. Thump. Another dragging sound. It wasn't the boiler. I tried ignoring it, quickly unloading the canned goods in the storage room. But then, the basement door handle rattled. Just once, then again harder. I backed away, my breath catching in my throat. "Hello?" I called out, hating how shaky my voice sounded. The rattling stopped instantly. That was somehow worse. After a long moment, I gathered what courage I had left and walked toward the basement door. I told myself it was probably a resident who wandered into the wrong room or someone looking for a place to sleep. The door was metal and dented with thick peeling paint. I reached out and touched the doorknob. It was ice cold, colder than metal should ever be. Before I could step away, the knob turned slowly on its own. My stomach dropped. No human hand was on the other side. There was no sound, no heavy breathing, no shuffling. Just the silent movement of the turning knob. And then, it stopped. The door creaked open an inch on its own. A sour, earthy smell drifted out like rot mixed with wet soil. My phone light barely penetrated the darkness below the stairs. It looked like the bottom of the world. A void. I should have run. I know that now. But something about the open door pulled at me, as if asking me to come closer. I swallowed hard. Hello? Is anyone down there? Silence. Then, a whisper. Not from a person. Not from anything natural. It was low, stretched, almost wet. Come. Down. My entire body went cold. No, I whispered. No, no, no. But then I heard something else. A cry. A human cry. High-pitched. Young. Help. Then coughing. Someone was down there. Someone who needed help. My instincts overpowered my fear. I grabbed the flashlight from the storage shelf and forced the door open wider. The hinges shrieked as if in warning. The stairs creaked under my weight as I descended. Each step made the air grow colder, heavier. The basement was enormous far, larger than the building above it. My flashlight shook in my hand, its beam cutting through dusty cobwebs and old wooden support beams. Hello? I called out again. Where are you? The crying stopped abruptly. Then something moved behind the support beam to my left. A small figure. I exhaled in relief. A child. He looked around 8 years old, thin, pale, wearing torn clothes too big for him. His hair was matted, and his bare feet were black with dirt. He stared at me with wide, glassy eyes. What are you doing down here? I asked softly. It's okay. I'm here to help you. He shivered. Please, don't let it get me. My heart wrenched. Let what get you? He pointed behind me. Slowly, dread tightening my stomach, I turned. There was nothing there. I turned back around. The boy was gone. Not ran, not walked, gone, as if he'd never been there. My breath trembled. Fear clawed its way up my throat. But before I could run back up the stairs, something touched my shoulder. I spun around, and this time, something was there. Tall, wrong, its limbs too long, bending at angles no body should bend. Its skin stretched over bone, gray and thin like damp paper. Its face, or what should have been its face, was a smooth, featureless surface. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Yet I could hear it breathing, right in front of me, hot, wet, and eager. I stumbled back, almost tripping. My flashlight beam landed on the far wall, and I saw something that made my blood freeze. Scratch marks, hundreds of them. Deep gouges carved into the concrete. Some were fresh. A shoe, a cracked pair of glasses, a torn jacket, all belonging to previous volunteers. Miss Harper's warning slammed into my mind. If you hear anything, you leave. The thing moved toward me, its limbs unfolding like a spider. It crawled on the walls, ceiling, floor fluid, unnatural. Its empty face tilted as if studying me, deciding what part of me to take first. I bolted for the stairs. It moved fast, too fast. Its limbs scraped against the concrete, squealing like metal on bone. The entire basement shook with its movements. I sprinted upward, nearly losing my footing. The creature slammed into the staircase behind me, cracking the wood. Its limb wrapped around the railing, inches from my ankle. I screamed and leaped the last 3 steps. When I reached the top, I slammed the basement door shut so hard dust rained from the ceiling. The creature hit the door from the other side. Boom! Dust exploded into the hallway. Boom! The hinges groaned. I shoved the heavy metal lock into place just as the 3rd hit shook the entire hallway. Then silence. I backed away, trembling violently. My breath came in ragged gasps. I grabbed my coat and ran out of the building, locking the front door behind me with shaking hands. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. The next morning, I went back with the director of the shelter and 3 board members. The basement door was locked, perfectly intact. No dents, no cracks. The staircase looked new, no gouges on the walls, and no child. But I know what I saw, what I heard, what touched me. I never volunteered there again. A few months later, the city shut down the shelter permanently. They said it was due to structural instability. But I know the truth. The building was unstable. Yes, but not because of the structure. Because of what lived beneath it. And every Thanksgiving since. I hear a faint tapping on my apartment wall. Slow, deliberate, patient. Like something is still trying to get upstairs. Like something remembers me and wants me to come back down. As this final Thanksgiving night draws to a close, one thing becomes painfully clear. For every warm home filled with laughter and clinking silverware, there are places and moments where the holiday spirit never arrives. Places where something darker waits just beyond the light of the dining room. These 3 stories are reminders that even on a day meant for gratitude, joy, and family, the world can twist without warning. A cheerful knock can become a warning. A family tradition can become a trap. And the quiet calm of a peaceful evening can conceal a pair of watching eyes, patient and hungry. What makes these stories truly terrifying, I isn't just the events themselves. It is the fact that every one of them happened to ordinary people. People who planned a simple dinner, a gathering, a visit. People who thought they were safe because it was a holiday, because they were surrounded by familiar faces, because nothing bad should happen on a day like Thanksgiving. But horror doesn't wait for a calendar. Evil doesn't take a holiday. And sometimes the things that strike on nights like these leave scars far deeper than the ones anyone can see. As you sit in your own home, maybe still digesting dinner, or scrolling through your phone in the warm glow of your living room, think about how thin the barrier truly is between comfort and chaos. Think about how many houses tonight are tucked away in quiet streets, hiding secrets that will never be spoken aloud. Think about the families who set one extra plate this year because someone never came back from a Thanksgiving night that went horribly wrong. If these stories made you glance at your window, or check your locks, or simply pay more attention when you step outside into the cold November air, then maybe they serve the purpose. Stay aware, stay cautious, and remember that sometimes the scariest things are not the monsters in the dark, but the moments when the world pretends everything is normal. Thank you for watching, and if you want more true horror stories that dig under your skin and linger long after the video ends, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There are many more tales waiting to be told, and some of them are even darker than these. Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, and never ignore that small instinct that whispers something isn't right. It might just save your life.